Hey, and welcome to Geek Church. I am your host, Jared Elrod, and I have a great little first play video for you today. We're going to be talking about Evil Dead, the game. This game was a lot of fun, and I'm going to tell you this is actually only going to be part one. I'm really just reviewing the multiplayer with bots and the single player campaign, which is the missions they call it. And it's essentially like a dozen levels or so. So I'm going to do a second video where I'm going to dive into the online play with actual people and the playing as the demon character against the players. So I'm talking about the survivors, the missions, which is basically the solo, the campaign. There we go, which is essentially the campaign, and then playing the the multiplayer, but with just bots as a survivor. So that's all I'm gonna be reviewing. So it's basically half the game, and the rest I gotta play it some more. I haven't played enough as the demon and played enough. I haven't played the online at all with other people, so I didn't want to do an unfair review because I'm not ready. But I want to get this out, and I don't want to do an hour-long video. I like to keep these 20-30 minutes. So let's jump in to this first part of Evil Dead, the game. Okay, so I didn't really know what to expect coming into this game. It is my first survival game I've ever played. And so I was honestly expecting more of like a fighting game, but we're trying to survive. I didn't even realize it's part of this whole other genre, and this is how ignorant I am and how long I've been out of the gaming world. I didn't realize that stuff, like games that my students in the past have played, like Among Us and, was it Left 4 Dead? No, I think it was like Among Us and those different ones that they talk about the story also. I didn't realize they were survival games. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is different. And so I guess I have to change my expectation of the combat mechanics. And that honestly is really one of my only complaints. It's not really even a valid complaint. It's just not, I'm not used to it. So I went into this, I bought it, and I went into this thinking it's a fighting game. This is going to be like a third-person shooter essentially, except I knew there's gonna be a lot of melee and not as much. I knew the weapons and stuff were really, or the gun, the ammo was really limited. So my thought is, I'm going to this, it's a third-person shooter with limited range weapons and a lot of melee weapons. And that's what I was thinking. And in one sense, that's true, but it really is this kind of sub-genre of a survivor game. So if you're expecting to go in and just kill a bunch of bad guys, I mean, you will, but that's not the point of the game. There are other things you have to do. You're not just clearing a level. You don't kill the bad guys and then fight a boss and then you've cleared the level and you move on to the next level. There is an actual point. You have to survive. And so if you're playing as a survivor, which is what I'm reviewing, so if you go into the survivor, first off, you have the tutorials. I highly suggest you do them. They're very informative. They're actually very fun. To me, the tutorial is almost like an easy mode. It's actually too easy at some point. Like, I actually would have wished to have played a little bit more. But the tutorial is a lot of fun. It walks you through everything, both the survivor and as the demon. And it tells you exactly where to go and what to do. But you play the game, so you go in, and like I said, I was playing with bots. So I went to the option, and there's all these different options on there. And I chose the one where I was playing, so the others, you have a team of 4. So three of my teammates were just bots, and then the demon character was a bot. And so that's how I played by about the 2.5 hours of footage, or about an hour and a half of the 2.5 hours was this way. And it was a lot of fun, but it got old quickly because it was hard for me to win, and in fact, I never actually accomplished it in my first play. I didn't die. Well, I died it once, but I kept running out of time because you have 30 minutes to do essentially 5 things, because there's a map you have to find. There's 3 pieces of the map. So you have to find all 3 of those pieces with just a hint. It's this huge open world, which I love, and you have this hint of like, it's somewhere by the fire tower, and you have to like find that on the map. It doesn't tell you where to go. You have to go find it on the little map, and then you look around and you find that piece of the map, and then it's like, hey, now look for the second piece around the campsite, and you have to go and find a campsite. So there's a lot of exploring, and the whole time you're being attacked by the demon character who's spawning traps and scares and deadites and all these things that are coming after you, and you're having to fight them. And the more you progress, the more and more there are. I honestly don't remember exactly where I left off, but these bots. Oh yeah, you find the 3 map pieces, and then the map leads you. You have to find these 2 objects one of which being the Necronomicon. And then you use those to essentially fight. Once you fight, I can't remember the name of the first object. I'm spacing, sorry. And you find it, you activate it, and then it gives you a perimeter that you have to stay in, and so you're going to start getting attacked by deadites, and you have to basically survive for however long it is. In the tutorial, it was stupid fast, and you got like attacked once or twice. I'm suspecting it's going to be harder in the game, depending on how good the demon character player is, because that is actually played by another person. If they're really good, it could be very hard. And then so you do that, then you go and you find the Necronomicon, you have to do the same thing, and you have to hold that area down. So it's like these 5 stages. And so I was doing this by myself essentially, and that became tedious after a while because I felt like it was all on me. I didn't have other players, like other friends helping me. I did have the non-playable characters, but the bot characters is what I'm trying to say. But they weren't great. Like out of the half dozen times I played, they only found a map piece once. They kind of followed me, but not amazing. So like if I went into the light to get my fear down, they would typically come over with me to get their fear down. But that was about it. They basically were just a good distraction for the deadites. And so they were out there kind of just running around doing their own thing, and they would essentially absorb damage. The deadites would see them, a certain percentage would run to them, and they'd fight and kill them. So it was less for me to do, and I could explore more, but they didn't help a whole lot. Like I said, only one time where did they actually even find a single map piece. So I imagine this would be a lot more fun if those were 3 friends you were playing with online, and you guys were talking through your headsets, and you were like back and forth and coordinating and all that kind of stuff. I think that would like take it from like a pretty fun game to like, this is amazing. Like we like this better than just getting together at a coffee shop and hanging out. This is more fun, right? I could see it definitely being a huge social aspect there. So I'm really looking forward to playing some of that this weekend. Okay, so the world really pulls you in. Like it's not like photoreal, and it's you know, it's somewhere in between. And honestly, I was unimpressed with the fear factor in the beginning, because you start off and you're in the house, and you've got the little like demon lady and the one mission, and she's like taunting you, and there's this whole thing with the fear bar, and that's a pretty big game mechanic. Is your character gets more afraid, it starts to affect. I feel like I haven't researched this, but I feel like the damage goes down. I feel like it took way more hits on the deadites when my fear was all the way up. It starts to blur your vision, so it's harder to see. I think you move slower too. And then you have you run the risk of the actual demon character being able to possess you and mess you up, fire off your ammo, attack other players. So you really want to like find light sources to keep it down. You want to stay together, which is hard when they're a bunch of bots who just run off on their own. So staying together helps it. And then when you get scared, there's certain jump scares and things like that that just take your fear up. You want to find either a lantern and light it. You want to carry matches. You want to light a lantern. You want to light a campfire, stay in the light. Or you really, what I typically would just do is I would just find a cabin and they would have a light, and I'd go stand either on the porch or in the house. And that helped me to keep that down pretty well. But in real life, I just figured there'd be no fear factor because it's a stupid video game. Like, why would I be afraid of this, right?
So afraid of dark. Light would make this place less scary. Find matchsticks and start a fire to keep your fear level under. What am I afraid of? Look, I got that, and I got this bad boy, which I'm not gonna fire for effect because you know what knows. Okay, what am I hearing? Are you kidding me? That is pretty terrible. Okay, forget what I said. Fear level just went up.
At the time, I've now seen all the movies. At the time I saw Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, I hadn't seen Army of Darkness yet. I then have now gone out and watched that. But I'm like, okay, I've seen the movies. Like, the fear is the fact of like, you're not getting out of this movie unless you're like maimed or dead or have to kill a friend or a loved one. This is a dumb video game. Like, there's no fear, right? And then roll the clips of me screaming like a girl.
Ah! Oh my gosh, that legitimately scared me. That scared the crap out of me. What the? So I'm gonna start playing this game in the middle of the day.
Yeah, the game would just, they got me. Like, it kept scaring me. Like, it would be a jump scare would get me, or I'm just running along, and typically I would hear the deadites coming, and I could like kind of hear, and I got a pretty good. That's another thing is there's not a lot of variety in the deadites, and so I'm sure as you play different missions, they swap them out. But the one I was playing, there's only a few of them. There was 2 girls, a couple different guys, and they were the same, so I'd kind of get used to how they would attack, and so I'd be running and I'd hear them and I wouldn't stop immediately. I'd wait because I could time it pretty well, and then I could just like swing and hit them. So I got a pretty good sense of it. But every now and then they would jump out in the middle of nowhere, or they would spawn, and those would get me. I'd just be running, and then poof, there'd be like this red, the red spawn point, and then they would jump out and I'd scream. Or I would be playing and the tree would attack me and I would scream, and any number of things. I kept getting scared, and I'm pretty glad. This is why I'm glad that this is a Geek Church After Hours game, because my family was not there to laugh at me as I kept screaming and getting scared. And I'm sitting there playing this game, and I'm like, why am I so much on edge? This is just a dumb video game. Why am I? And then as I played the missions, I went back and I played the first level some more. That's where I got most of my scares. I felt more invested in that. Like at a certain point in the game, if I wasn't close enough, once we hit like 15 minutes left out of, so it started with 30, once we hit about 15 minutes left, I kind of knew I wasn't going to win. I wasn't far enough, and I'm like, okay, I'm not as invested. But as I'm playing the mission, I am invested. And so like, I know, okay, this is the 4th time I'm playing it, the 5th time I'm playing it, I keep dying, but every time I'm getting a little bit further, and I'm learning, and I'm getting, how to, that one boss guy and how to do this, and I'm getting better and better and better. I'm invested, and like, this is gonna be my time to beat the level and complete this mission and unlock the recording that I'm gonna get, the audio tape recording I'm gonna get as a bonus. I can move on to the next level, which is locked. And so I'd find myself getting more and more invested in winning, and then boom, something would jump out, and it scared the crap out of me, because I'm like, I now actually feel like I'm gonna like die. Like if I die, I'm losing something. I'm losing the fact that I've gotten this much further and my time invested into it. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the missions. Again, this is the first play, so I've only played the first mission, but I really enjoyed it, and I think if nothing else changes but variety, because it's a specific task. Like it's like, okay, you have to do this, and you go and do it, and then there's like a little title screen in a picture, and it says, okay, now you have to go do this second thing, and you're like, oh, okay, and you go to do that, and it was crazy. Like the first one is like, you have to go like bury the head of your girlfriend, like because you feel bad about killing her, you want to give her a proper burial. It's ridiculous, right? Definitely a Geek Church After Hours games, rated M. And so I found myself like getting invested in that. And so if all the missions if they're the exact same but they're variety, so now it's a different pseudo story. So now instead of trying to find and bury your girlfriend, like you're trying to do something else, which is slightly different, a different part of the map, and just variety of the Deadites, because that would get very old if it was just the same Deadites coming in time after time. But if they start switching that up and just add a little bit of variety, I feel like I can play the missions. Like I think there's 12 of them, 10 or 12 of them. That I think I could play for a long time. Just getting through them. Like I said, it's taken me multiple times through each. So it's not like I'm gonna sit there, boom, 20 minutes, beat the first one, beat the second one, beat the third one. It's taken me, a good amount to just beat the first one. I imagine each of them will get a little harder and a little more variety. So as long as there's a little tiny bit of variety, I think that it's going to sustain me to like really enjoy playing all those missions, which is great because, like I said, playing with the bots, I didn't love, and after about an hour and a half, I was kind of over it. I'm like, I'm not doing very well. They're not helping me out. This is getting frustrating. You get down to we have 15 minutes after. Like, do I quit and start over? Do I just run out the clock and just what do I do? I don't know. And so that part I wasn't loving.
All right, let's go ahead and exit match and restart.
Okay, and mind you, like this is all just for the survivor side. Like there's an entire, I'll do a second video on this, an entire playing as the demon character when you're just floating around and you're trying to kill the survivors or run out the clock on the survivors. So I actually think I'm gonna like that even better. I'm really looking forward to that for the second part. So I'm gonna jump to the rating here now. Again, just for the online play, not the multiplayer with bots and the missions is what I'm gonna do this rating for. So let's see what I have here. So the multiplayer with the bots was by far my least favorite. I give that like a 1.5. So remember, a 1 means skip it, a 2 means buy it when it goes on sale, and a 3 means go buy it now and release, pay full price. So I give it a 1.5 because I wouldn't completely skip it. I feel like if it was, again, just this one aspect of playing the multiplayer with bots, no friends playing online, not any of the other stuff, as a survivor, I feel like it's the kind of thing that you like download as a demo or and you get like for free as a demo of an upcoming game, and you play it for like 2, 3, maybe 4 hours, and it was a lot of fun, and then you're done. You never play it again, right? Then you get rid of it, right? That was cool. It came as on a disc in a magazine, or it came as a free download, whatever. it would be worth that. Not completely worth skipping, but I wouldn't pay any money for it, right? I only feel like a couple hours of value in there. Now, the actual solo missions, which I liked much better, the solo missions, they're a lot of fun, probably not worth the $40, so I'm gonna give it a 2. So I would definitely still buy it for the single player campaign, which again they call missions, but I don't think unless you're a huge fan of the franchise, which I'm like a mediocre fan of the franchise, like mediocre minus fan of the franchise. Like I love Bruce Campbell and whatnot, but it's not like I'm sitting around watching these movies all the time. Like I haven't seen Army of Darkness since high school, you know, so I would say if you're a huge fan, go ahead and get it on release. You're gonna want to be a part of all that. But other than that, if you just like survival games, I'd wait for it to drop down. Definitely pick it up at 20 bucks. You know, it drops down to 30 bucks or whatever. It's probably worth it. Just for the solo missions. But I'm going to tell you right now, I am anticipating that when I actually play the online multiplayer and play as the demon character, I'm pretty sure I'm going to jump this up to a 3, and this is why I bought it, because of all this gameplay. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 3. So if you're like watching this and you're like, oh, you're not quite telling me, I'm going to guess that my next review is going to be everything together is a 3 is my anticipation. So if you're on the fence, go ahead and just grab it and just trust that it's probably going to be. And if I come back in part 2 and I say it's not worth it at 40 bucks, then I'm sorry. That's the gamble you're gonna have to take. The game, there was enough in it that I felt justified in doing 2 videos and breaking them. The multiplayer with bots and the single player into one video, and the online multiplayer and playing as the demon in a separate video to really do the game justice, because they really did put a lot of effort into it. And there's a lot of polish, there's a lot of good stuff in it, a lot of variety in the skins. There's multiple versions of Ash. There's all these things. Something I didn't talk about very much, I alluded to, but didn't talk about a lot, are the jump scares. So I talked about the tree, you're running, and the demon character can use their energy to put little jump scares on things, and so you've got a tree that can reach out and growl at you and hit you and do some physical damage and jump your fear meter way up. I haven't triggered them yet, but there are also loot crate traps. So you open a loot crate and a bunch of little mini ashes jump out, like from the movie, and scare you really bad and take your fear meter way up. Then you have to go deal with that, slowing you down even more, or letting the demon character possess you or something else, right, to mess you up. So a lot of little things like that. They really put a lot of effort into it. So I really appreciate that this isn't just some like franchise game. I've played plenty of those. Like that's what, when I was younger at 64, you know, I bought the stupid Superman game. I'm like, this isn't a game. This is just, they paid all their money to buy the Superman franchise, and they threw some terrible mechanics on it, right? We all know that game. If not, go YouTube it. It was terrible. So I don't feel like it was that. I feel like they actually had some ownership in this. They actually put effort into this and made it. And it's just really good. And again, with it being my first survival game, I'm really impressed. So now it makes me want to go back and play some of these other ones that are super famous that I never really got into, and give this entire genre a second chance. Now, I will say something that I read that it stands out from other survival games is you're not helpless in this game, right? So a lot of the survival games, you just have a flashlight to scare things off, and you're running and you're hiding, and you're surviving. Again, this I heard, right? But the difference here is you actually can fight back and win. You're not just running the clock down. Like if you win, you beat the demon. Like, and you've got weapons, you've got shotguns, you've got rifles, you've got pistols, even shovels, hammers, swords, axes. I used a meat cleaver in one of them. I had a big giant broadsword. I'm like, what is this? Oh, a meat cleaver. This looks like fun. And I swapped it out. I'm like, whoa, just taking people out, right? So it is a lot of fun just fighting back. It kind of feels though like that's a distraction, and sometimes I feel like when I'm having a lot of fun and I'm fighting, but I'm like, ooh, but I'm running the clock down. So am I not supposed to be fighting? Like, should I be avoiding them more? And so it kind of felt in that a little counterintuitive. Like I could have easily taken a level where it's just survive. We're just going to send a bunch of deadites at you and you just have to survive. That would have been a lot of fun. But because I had to find the map pieces and the Necronomicon and the other thing, whatever it was, I felt this sense of like, oh, I can't spend a lot of time fighting these guys and not enjoying it as much, which is why I liked the solo missions, is because I got to just enjoy fighting the deadites more, because I wasn't on a time run or a time meter, at least for the first one. I'm sure there's probably timers on some of the other ones.
Oh, we got a minute and a half. Let's just go for a joyride.
And then just my last thought of like the drawback of the bots, I kind of talked about this a bit, but you really miss that team factor. I don't feel like I'm part of a team. I already talked about how they don't help that much, but I alluded to like, hey, this could be more fun. Like, hey, do you guys all want to get together on Friday night, at Starbucks and hang out, or do you want to log on and play? No, let's log on and play this game. Like, even though we're not physically together, we're going to enjoy our time together more. I can see it really being a fun way to hang out and spend some time with friends or family, or I don't know. I probably aren't playing this with your mom unless your mom's a huge horror fan. So definitely dig into this game, try it out. Even though I only gave it a 1.5 and a 2, overall I would definitely go pay for it. Like I said, it's only $40. Even though it's not a $60 game, it's a $40 game. It's a lot of fun. If you like this genre at all, or if you're a fan of this at all, I highly recommend it, and anticipate in part 2 giving it a 3 out of 3. I just want to be clear that those particular things on their own are not amazing. They're good, but not amazing. So, all right, I'm looking forward to part 2. Thanks for joining here at Geek Church. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share with a friend, and you definitely want to subscribe so you get notifications. I go live all the time, like almost every day. It's typically late at night because of a lot of these games I've been playing are rated M, so we're doing it as Geek Church after hours. On the weekends, I play a lot more during the day. So subscribe, follow Geek Church both on YouTube and Twitch. There's a Facebook page. Go check them all out. Streaming on there, and you should watch and hang out. Yeah, with that, thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 2 of The Evil Dead, the game. Okay, so I didn't really know what to expect coming into this game. I just bit my tongue. Did you hear that? I literally just bit my tongue.